Welcome to Crime Time Cases, where we uncover the darkest and most chilling mysteries from across the world. In today's episode, we dive deep into a case that has haunted investigators and the victim's family for over 4 decades. This is the tragic and puzzling cold case of Dorothy Scott, a woman who disappeared without a trace, leaving behind eerie clues, and a mystery that still haunts her loved ones to this day. Dorothy Scott was a 32-year-old single mother living in Stanton, California. She worked as a secretary for 2 jointly owned businesses, one being a head shop and the other a psychedelic shop. Dorothy's life seemed normal, even quiet. She was described as a devout Christian, someone who preferred staying home with her 4-year-old son, Sean, rather than going out and socializing. But little did Dorothy know, someone had been watching her. For months. Dorothy began receiving anonymous phone calls in the months leading up to her disappearance. The caller would tell her intimate details of her life, things no one else should have known. Sometimes, the voice would express love and admiration, while other times, it would take a dark turn, threatening to kill her. One chilling call in particular stuck with Dorothy. The caller told her he would cut her into bits so no one would ever find her.
When I get you alone, I'll cut you up into bits, so no one will ever find you.
Terrified, Dorothy considered buying a handgun but ultimately decided against it. Instead, she began taking self-defense classes and confided in her parents about the disturbing calls. On May 28, 1980, Dorothy attended an employee meeting at work. During the meeting, she noticed one of her coworkers, Conrad Bostron, looked unwell and had a nasty red mark on his arm. Concerned, Dorothy and another coworker, Pam Head, decided to take Conrad to the nearby UCI Medical Center. They arrived at the hospital around 9 p.m. While Conrad was being treated. Dorothy and Pam waited in the hospital waiting room. Around 11 p.m., Conrad was released. Dorothy offered to pull her car around from the parking lot to the front of the hospital. But Dorothy never returned. Pam and Conrad waited for her, but after 15 minutes, they grew concerned. Just as they were about to report her missing, they saw Dorothy's car speeding toward them. The headlights were blinding, and before they could react, the car zoomed past, disappearing into the night. The car was found hours later, abandoned in an alley about 10 miles away. It had been set on fire. But there was no sign of Dorothy Scott. After Dorothy vanished, the nightmare continued for her family. A week after her disappearance, her mother, Vera Scott, received a phone call. The voice on the other end said, "Are you related to Dorothy Scott?" When Vera said yes, the caller responded chillingly, "I've got her."
Hello. Are you related to Dorothy Scott? I've got her.
For years, this same man would call the Scotts home, taunting them, claiming to have Dorothy or that he had killed her. The police were unable to trace the calls, as they were too short in duration. And just like that, every time the case seemed to grow cold, the calls would reignite the pain and mystery for Dorothy's family. For 4 years, Dorothy's family held on to hope. But on August 6, 1984, their worst fears were confirmed. A construction worker stumbled upon human remains off Santa Ana Canyon Road, about 30 miles from where Dorothy's car had been found. Among the skeletal remains was a turquoise ring and a watch, items Dorothy had been wearing the night she vanished. Dental records confirmed it was her. The coroner could not determine the cause of death due to the state of the remains, but it was evident Dorothy had been murdered. The caller who had been tormenting the Scott family for years. He made one final call to Vera after Dorothy's remains were found, asking, "Is Dorothy home?" To this day, Dorothy Jane Scott's case remains unsolved. The identity of her stalker and killer has never been revealed. Who was the mysterious man who followed her every move? Was he someone she knew? And why did he torment her family for so long after taking her life? It's a haunting case of a young mother, a relentless stalker, and a mystery that has spanned over 4 decades without justice. What do you think happened to Dorothy Scott? Was it someone close to her, or just a deranged stranger who fixated on her for no reason at all? Share your theories in the comments below. Thank you for watching Crime Time Cases. If you're captivated by these unsolved mysteries, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Stay vigilant, and remember, not all monsters live under the bed. Some live among us.